I returned from a business trip to find my wife had replaced the locks. "I found someone better," she texted, lounging on our sofa. I exhaled deeply, grinned, and responded, "You certain about that?" Then I turned and left. 4 days later, she was frantic on the phone. Something seemed wrong during our last video call. Claire was in our living room, but the cushions were arranged differently. It was a tiny detail I nearly overlooked. After 8 years of marriage, you notice these things. The navy pillow she always kept on her side of the couch was missing, swapped for one I didn't recognize. When I brought it up, she brushed it off, saying she wanted a refresh. I was finishing a 2-week work trip in Portland. Major project, huge opportunity. Claire had been encouraging when I left, urging me to impress them. But as days passed, her messages grew brief, our calls hurried, and she stopped asking about my work. When I shared project successes, her replies felt empty, scripted, just exhausted from the office. She'd say, "You know how it is." I did. I'd supported her career from the start. What she didn't realize was how much I'd truly invested in her achievements. More on that later. The first real warning came 3 days before I returned. During our nightly call, I heard a man's chuckle in the background. When I asked, Claire said it was the TV. But our TV had a unique sound system I'd set up myself. This was someone's voice. She cut the call short, citing a migraine. I landed at 3 p.m. on Thursday. No reply to my just landed text, odd since Claire always responded quickly. The ride home felt endless. More details stood out as off. Her location sharing was disabled on our shared plan, and her social media posts showed our living room from unfamiliar angles. When my key wouldn't turn, I thought it was jammed. It took a full minute to realize the lock was new. Standing there, suitcase in hand, I felt a strange calm. 8 years of marriage, and my wife had changed the locks while I was gone. Then her text arrived. "I've found someone better. Don't try to come in. I've moved on." The timestamp showed she sent it while watching me via our security camera from my couch in my home. I took a breath and typed, "You sure about that?" Then I walked away, pulling my suitcase. No shouting, no banging on the door, no scene, just her typing dots flickering as she struggled to reply. I checked into a nearby hotel and called my friend Marcus. Within an hour, he'd uncovered what I'd missed. Claire was seeing a guy named Vincent, a client from her company. They'd been seen at restaurants for the past month. Here's where it gets intriguing. Vincent had a pattern of dating married women like Claire, always when they were nearing big career leaps. While Marcus talked, I accessed our shared cloud storage. Claire wasn't tech-savvy. She never changed the passwords I'd created. There they were, photos of them in our home going back 3 weeks. But she'd overlooked something critical in her haste to replace me. My phone buzzed again. "Claire, you're handling this better than I thought. No fight for us?" Guess I was right about finding someone better. I smirked, thinking of the file I'd just found in our cloud. A document she'd forgotten from when I'd helped her establish her investment portfolio last year. I snapped a screenshot and sent it to my attorney. "Give me 4 days," I texted back. "Then we'll see who found something better." Her reply was instant. "What's that mean?" I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my laptop and started emailing old colleagues. By midnight, I had all I needed to make her see what she was about to lose. Tomorrow, I'll set things in motion. For now, I'm relishing the constant ping of my phone as Claire tries to guess what I know. The best part? She doesn't realize the comfortable life she's enjoying, the one she's sharing with him on my couch, was built on foundations she's about to crumble. Let her savor her better choice for now. In 4 days, she'll learn some choices carry consequences she never anticipated. Update. Thank you for the support on my last post. Your feedback keeps me grounded. Here's what happened in the past 24 hours. That document I mentioned? It was the contract Claire signed when I helped her set up her investments. What she forgot was that I didn't just guide her investments, I funded most of them. The contract stated that if we separated, certain assets would need to be liquidated immediately. But that's not what shook her. Last night, Claire's sister, Emma, called me in tears. "James, I can't stay silent anymore. Vincent, he's done this before. 3 times. He targets women like Claire, leverages their networks, then vanishes once he gets what he wants. I already knew Vincent's pattern, but Emma had details I hadn't found. She sent screenshots of Claire and Vincent's chats from 2 months ago. They weren't just planning their affair. They were discussing business ventures, using information I'd shared with Claire about my company's upcoming deals. "There's more," Emma said. "Last week, Claire asked me to hold some papers for her, said they were work backups. I checked them today. James, she's been moving money, big sums." I thanked Emma and hung up, logged into our joint accounts. There it was. Claire had been making large purchases, masking them as household costs. Artwork, luxury furniture, even a new car, all bought in the last month, hidden under vague transactions. The kicker? She'd used our joint account for initial payments, but the bulk came from her company expense account, the same account I'd helped her establish years ago, the one where I was still listed as a financial consultant. Time to show her what she was risking. I sent a text. Just had a chat with the board about those expense reports, especially last month's. The couch looks nice, by the way. Original receipts would help. Her reply was instant. What are you talking about? Oh, and Vincent's history with Larson & Co. was eye-opening. 3 settlements in 2 years. Impressive. Her typing indicator flickered repeatedly. Then, James, we need to talk. We will. After my meeting with the ethics committee tomorrow. Her next message showed panic. What meeting? James, please, let's talk. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded Emma's screenshots to my attorney and drafted an email to the board flagging financial irregularities. Not sent yet, just a precaution. Marcus came to the hotel with food and a USB drive. You won't believe this, he said, opening files on his laptop. Vincent had been recording his talks with Claire, not just casual chats, detailed discussions about upcoming projects, client data, everything. He's using her, Marcus said, shaking his head, and she's too caught up to see what's coming. My phone kept buzzing. Claire had moved from panic to pleading. Whatever you think you know, it's wrong. I can explain. Her last message stood out. The board doesn't need to know. We can work this out. I grinned and sent my final text of the night. Check your email in 10 minutes. Look at the attachment from March 15th. March 15th, the day she signed the partnership agreement, the one she hadn't read closely, the one giving me significant control over the company's major financial decisions. As I write, Claire's flooding my phone. Vincent's name is gone from her social media. The luxury couch she bought with company money, the one she posed on in those photos, is now listed for sale online. Tomorrow, I have a meeting. Not with the ethics committee. That was to shake her. The real meeting is with someone who has far more to lose if Claire's actions come to light. I'll update once things are moving. For now, I'm watching her realize her better choice might cost her everything she's built. And I haven't even played my biggest card yet. Update 2. Quick update from the last 24 hours. Things moved faster than I expected. That meeting I mentioned, it wasn't just about Claire's expense reports, it was bigger. When I helped Claire secure her role 5 years ago, I didn't just make introductions. I invested. Heavily. Under a holding company she never bothered to investigate. Back then, she was thrilled about the job and barely skimmed the paperwork. She signed where I directed, too focused on her new office to notice the fine print. This morning, I walked into the board meeting with every receipt, every recorded conversation, and every questionable transaction from the past 3 months. But I didn't show them. Instead, I laid out my shareholder voting rights. The chairman's face was stunned. You're the silent partner for Carter Holdings? I nodded. And I'm concerned about recent decisions by certain executives. My phone buzzed. Rachel, my colleague who'd been watching things, texted, Vincent just left Claire's office. He's furious. She's crying. Turns out, Vincent had his own meeting that morning with his former company's legal team. They were very interested in confidential data that had somehow reached their rivals, data that aligned perfectly with his dinner dates with Claire. I stayed in the board meeting for 47 minutes, long enough to voice concerns about the company's direction and propose a full audit of executive expenses. Long enough for Claire to learn that her silent partner, owning 12% of the company, was her soon-to-be ex-husband. The messages flooded in. Claire. How long have you had shares? Claire. Why didn't you tell me? Claire. James, please, can we talk? Claire. You're going to ruin everything I've worked for. I replied to the last. No, you did that yourself. Check your email. The email had 2 attachments. Screenshots of her chats with Vincent about confidential company info and the partnership agreement she'd signed 5 years ago. The one with a specific clause about ethical breaches. Emma called next. Vincent dumped Claire. Said she's too risky. She's falling apart, James. She tried to access the executive accounts, but her access was already blocked. How do you know about the accounts? I asked. Because I suggested the audit to the board last week. After I saw those papers she asked me to hold. Emma's voice was firm. I love my sister, but what she did to you? And asking me to hide evidence? Then my attorney called. The board had decided. They weren't firing Claire. That would be too public. Instead, they offered her a choice, resign quietly or face a full investigation. Either way, her stock options were frozen pending review. I was heading back to the hotel when Marcus texted, Dude, check the security cameras. I logged in to see Claire in our home, rifling through files in the home office. The same office where, 3 years ago, I'd installed a hidden safe behind the painting of our Fiji honeymoon. The safe held copies of every document, every investment, every piece of evidence showing how I'd built her career. She found the safe, tried every combination she could think of. Our anniversary, her birthday, the day she got promoted. Wrong, wrong, wrong. The combination? The date she signed the partnership agreement. The day she gained everything she's about to lose. My phone rang again. The chairman. James, we need to discuss the company's future. I glanced at the security feed one last time. Claire had given up on the safe and was sitting at my desk, head in her hands. The luxury couch in the background, bought to impress Vincent, already looked worn. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I told the chairman, and I have ideas about restructuring the executive team. Tomorrow, Claire will realize just how much control I've had all along, not just over her career, but every decision she thought she made on her own for 5 years. The best part? I never raised my voice, never made threats, just let her choices catch up with her. Final update coming soon. One card left to play, final update. It's been a month since my last update. I waited until everything was settled before sharing how it ended. That last card? It wasn't just about the shares or expense reports, it was far more calculated. Let's start with the couch. That $12,000 luxury piece Claire bought to impress Vincent. She didn't just use company funds, she tapped an account meant for an upcoming merger, the same merger Vincent was fishing for details on. But here's the genius part. I knew she'd do this. 5 years of marriage showed me Claire loved to flaunt. So 3 months before my Portland trip, I laid the groundwork. Every casual chat about my company's plans, every detail about potential deals shared over dinner, it was all deliberate. Information that seemed valuable, but was worthless. The real deals were locked behind NDAs, Claire never knew about. The morning after my last update, the board held an emergency meeting. They showed Claire everything. The unauthorized expenses, the leaked info, the recorded talks with Vincent. But the final strike came from Emma. My sister-in-law walked into the boardroom with a laptop full of emails between Claire and Vincent. Emails plotting to profit from my insider info. Emails dated before I left for Portland. I kept copies of everything, Emma told them, her voice steady. Every time she asked me to hold documents, every talk about using James's position for their gain, I couldn't stay silent. Claire claimed Vincent manipulated her. That's when Rachel stepped in, presenting evidence that Vincent was working with our top competitor all along. Every piece of valuable info Claire leaked to him, carefully crafted misinformation that led our rivals down costly dead ends. The board's decision was unanimous. Claire was terminated, her stock options voided, her industry reputation shattered. But I wasn't done. That partnership agreement she signed, it had another clause. Any ethical breaches triggered a review of all personal assets acquired during the partnership. The house? Bought with a loan I'd backed. Her car? Leased through a company deal I'd set up. Even her designer wardrobe? Mostly purchased with company funds I'd helped her access. By the time my attorneys were done, Claire was left with what she brought into our marriage. Her savings and a pile of student loans I'd quietly stopped covering. Vincent vanished when things collapsed. But not before my private investigator documented every meeting, every deal, every lie he'd fed Claire about his wealth and connections. Last week, I got a hand-delivered letter from Claire. Inside was a house key. The one she'd had made when she changed the locks, and a note. I see now. You didn't just support my career, you built its self-destruct mechanism. She was right. Every step up her career ladder, every connection, every opportunity, I'd designed it all with one goal. It could all collapse the moment she broke my trust. The couch? Now, in my new office. A reminder that the best revenge isn't about destroying someone's world. It's letting them destroy it themselves while thinking they're ahead. Marcus asked yesterday if it was worth it. If years of planning such an intricate backup plan was overkill. I looked around my new corner office, Claire's old one, and smiled. The best revenge, I told him, is watching someone realize their better choice was their worst mistake. Yesterday, I signed the final papers. The real merger, not the decoy Claire and Vincent chased, went through. The company's value tripled overnight. Claire watched from her parents' spare room where she's been staying since it all unraveled. Her last text was simple. You planned this from the start, didn't you? I didn't reply. Some questions don't need answers. The luxury couch sits in my office, barely used. A $12,000 symbol of someone else's arrogance. Sometimes the best things in life aren't free. They're just paid for by someone else's mistakes. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and follow for more real-life tales. Your support helps us share more stories like this. Thank you for reading, and I'll see you in the next one.